My name is Jen. I am a field support rep with Idexx. A little bit about myself. I was a technician for 22 years. I did small animal wildlife, birds of prey, but my specialty was large animals, specifically equine anesthesia. So I did colic surgeries and arthroscopies in Florida. That being said, large animals very physical. Not that this isn't, but I've been body slammed by Budweiser Clydesdales more than once. So my body's broken. So I transitioned over to Idexx about over 5 years now. Wow, time flies. I feel like I'm new still. Best decision I could have ever made. Every clinic I've ever worked at had Idexx, so I think they felt like I have broken everything they've ever made, and if I could fix it in the field, maybe I'd be a good rep. So, still here. So kind of what we're going to do today is we're going to go over VetConnect Plus a little bit. Going to show you what it is. You can actually look up tests on it, so you have to look at the book, or you would try to find a test in the book. It's no fun. So this is super quick. All of your results will go in. We'll talk about sharing them. And then also, like if you need to put a new code in eVet, like what can you do in that aspect? And then depending on how much time we have left and how much fun y'all are having, we're going to do a quiz on stuff you should know about the analyzers. So I feel like people in the vet industry are two things: food and stickers. So stickers are fun, and I promise it will be fun. So please answer questions. You get lots of stickers, and it's everybody who answers correctly gets a sticker, not just the first one. So
No stickers.
yay, stickers! There was one plate, like somebody was like covered in glare. I was like, man, that's a lot of stickers. So I give them out very generously. So we'll start with VetConnect Plus. So what is it? So VetConnect Plus is where all of your Idexx results go to. So regardless if it is your in-house, your reference lab, your telemedicine, if you use our x-ray, all of those go there. It's super cool. On there you can see, like if you needed to add an order, add on. You don't have to call in. You can actually add on if it's at the lab. You can look at the status, see if it's a partial, if it's complete. You get your results. You can get some diagnostic differentials to help with like next test. And of course sharing results. You can actually share the results from your phone.
Okay.
Like you can email from your phone now, which is super cool.
Yeah, that's awesome because I have the app on my phone.
Okay, yeah. So now it was actually an upgrade that you could do it. And then yesterday, Liz was like, hey, why can't we like look up the directory of services on the phone? So I actually put that as an enhancement request. So when y'all tell us what you want,
Yeah.
Idexx listens. I mean, we like make changes whenever we know what would be helpful for your workflow. Because at the end of the day, it's y'all's life that we're trying to make easier. All right. So without VetConnect Plus, I'm sure you've seen this before. My pointer doesn't work, so you get a pen. It's Biltmore pen. Thank you for asking. So you obviously will see just results, but with VetConnect Plus, you can trend your results. So I know that you don't have a lot of like wellness exams, but you do have, let's say, chemo patients or like your cortisols. You can trend those results. You can trend their hematocrit, their platelets, everything. Again, we'll talk about the differential diagnosis, and then any images, and you can, of course, email directly from your phone. So this is what the landing page has looked like. Have y'all ever seen VetConnect Plus on your computer? Okay, so it's on this one. I think it may be on this one too,
Yeah.
but we can visit it in just a minute. We're gonna go over this, and then we're gonna actually go into your account to just kind of look at a couple of things, okay? So this is the landing screen. If you want to see results older than that, you can change the date. So you can change the date, you can customize it, or you can search by the name. So if you wanted to look up old stuff. If you notice these little pills here, so this tells you was ordered. So once you order it through eBay, it's going to show up here as ordered. If it's at the lab, nothing's happened to it, it's there. Partial, let's say, if it's something that's it's multi-part, parts like a urinalysis and your CBC will probably not finish at the same time, so that's your partial. And then testing added, so you know you've added a test. So if you don't know somebody's added and you wanted it to be added, you can actually go on here and see that it has been added. If you do it through VetConnect Plus. It's also cool as you can see any delays. So as we know, in our human world, we have shipping issues, we have storms and all that kind of stuff. So what's nice is it will tell you what your expected turnaround time is and also what specific samples it's affecting. So it's not going to be like all of the labs across the world. It's going to be like a specific one with that specific test. All right. So we're going to look at Peanut. So if you notice, see how Peanut still has this little blue dot? That means that her results have not been looked at. The ones without the dots mean they've been looked at by somebody. Now, if you want, you can actually reapply that dot. I have some customers that actually use those as callbacks. I don't know how many callbacks you do, but if you do, if they know that that dot is missing, they've been called. So a little bit about Peanut. Peanut's old. Peanut's 13 years old. There was a young picture at the beginning, and this is how she looks now. And she's been with the clinic her entire life. So any diagnostics that was done with her is actually in VetConnect Plus. So there's not like a time frame of 5 years or 6 years. It's for the life of the pet. So what you typically have is you'll have your CBC on top. Oh, sorry. All right, so we've got our dates right here, right? So this is everything that's ever happened with that patient. If you want to see what happened on the respective dates, you can do the drop down, and it's all of the history of what she's ever had done to her. So instead of having to go through each date, you can see all of the different testing that's happened. Again, regardless of what it is, you can see x-rays, you can see snaps, you can see in-house, you can see at the reference lab. So everything that's there. And again, what I was starting to say is, if you ever look at your results, it's always your CBC, your chemistry, and then like additional testing like SediVue or cortisol or anything like that that's been added to that test. Again, regardless if it's in-house or at the reference lab. So if you were, let's say you were, as a chemo patient, now obviously this is not a chemo patient, it actually looks pretty good. If you are like wanting to see the side-by-side results, you can actually hit that chevron right there. And you can have it like quickly put up right beside what it is. And you can see it, ProSite looks just like the ProSite. It'll look, the beaker means reference lab. That's why you know where was it run. All right. So obviously we've got some weird numbers here. The graphing is turned off. You can actually turn the graphing on, and it will actually graph certain things. Now you didn't have to like pick and choose. It'll be the life of the pet. So as you can see, she's had a couple of times come in. If you were concerned about something specific, so like this MCH and MCHC, you can click it and just select those. And those will, I mean, it's just that simple. Anything you want to try just quickly comes up. And again, I know you don't do wellness, but I still think this might be beneficial with, like I said, your chemo patients that are coming in. There may be times when there's a, let's say a test that you don't know what it is. Have y'all noticed that now reticulocyte hemoglobin is now a parameter on your CBC? So if you didn't know what that is, if you hit this little chevron there, it's going to tell you what it is. It's going to tell you what would make it abnormal, regardless if it's high or low, recommendations for additional testing. Now, that being said, this is not Idexx made. I mean, it is. What we've done is we've gone through textbooks, publications, peer-reviewed stuff. I mean, everything, and combined it for you. And then what's nice is it doesn't show you on here. I wish it did. You can also print it. What is interesting on the bottom, it gives you the references. So you're going to see like books you know. But again, instead of having to go in and research it, you're not, you don't have to. This is a new test. This is not going to be in any of, well, it's a new parameter. It's not a new test. It was always there. We just didn't have it turned on. It's not going to be in that textbook. So this is going to make it easy for you. So if you want to know what it is, reticulocyte hemoglobin is actually, it lets you know the availability of iron. So, I mean, yeah, they have reticulocytes, but are they viable? So, are they going to be able to bind to that O2 and that CO2? Y'all ever look at the little graphs on the bottom?
All of those.
Okay, so I was actually at a hospital last week, and they had a dog come in, just a little bit of ADR. They did a chest x-ray, looked like blasto, sent it out, it wasn't blasto. But I looked at the dot plot, I was like, that looks like a cute lymphoid leukemia. And I'm like, what? I was like, just by looking at the, I didn't even look at the numbers, I just looked at the graph. And I was like, I would be concerned about that. So what they did is they pulled another sample, we looked at a smear together, and it definitely had very reactive lymphocytes. So then they sent that in to Idexx for a pathological review, and it came back that that's what it was. So we're getting it typed right now. So just by looking at that, you can see those trends. And if that's something that y'all are interested in, I'm happy to come back in and do a full staff training on dot plots, because I think they're super, super cool.
I would love that.
Yeah, so the numbers, I mean, they're great, don't get me wrong, but like, let's say for example, when it flags for bands, let's say it needs 100 bands for it to flag, right? But you get 96. But by looking at this, every little dot, you can see that trend is starting to do that. So if it's something that interests you, just let me know. What's cool about VetConnect Plus, you can actually look at it here, but then you can have the normal right beside it. So you can like compare what the normal is and then what your specific patient is.
Cool.
Yeah, VetConnect Plus is the ball. Dimension, it's free. Okay, there's no charge for this. You can go to it as many times as you want. 2 o'clock in the morning, if you have something you want to do, go to VetConnect Plus. Same thing, so you know how the first 3 images from your SediVue, they say SediVue on them? Those also go up to VetConnect Plus. And on VetConnect Plus, I have some people that, I see that you have iPads. You can have VetConnect Plus on there, and you can show this to the owners in the room. And then you can automatically email it to them from there too if you want. Yeah, super cool. You can still apply labels, and you can magnify it and do any manipulations you want to do. Any of your pathology images go up there, so even just to see those, whenever you do have those come back from like your biopsies and stuff, you can see them. And then also so if you have our PAC system or if you utilize our web packs, you'll see those images up there also. So again, anything diagnostic that Idexx helps you with will be up there. So accessing results. Everything you've seen so far has been the desktop version, okay? So this is what it looks like. We were talking about the book. You know, nobody likes the book. So what's super cool, there's your directory of services. So just up here in this corner, you can start typing in anything. Like if you can't remember ethylene glycol, you know it's looking for antifreeze poisoning, so you can start typing in antifreeze and all those will come up. So it kind of tries to help you with all different options. Just so you know, we do a lot of small animal, but we do pretty much every species, if you can imagine. So we have over 6,000 codes. So the sky's the limit of what you could find on here. So here we just typed in health, and everything that says health comes up. So the health check, that's like our basic wellness ones. There's nothing like special about it, it's just our basic ones. So what's cool too, have you ever had that situation where you've never run something before, and the doctor gives you the sample and you're like, I don't know what to do with it, right? You don't know, does it need to go on a white top, does it need to go on a purple top, does it need to go on a blue top? You don't know, because you've never run it before. What's cool is you can go ahead and have an idea what the test is, and this tells you what you need. You need 2 mils of serum and a laboratory top tube. So you know before you even get the sample. Or let's say it's something never done before, and it needs a CSF tap, and there's not somebody here that's comfortable doing it. Probably not here, but let's just say if that happens, well, you know, I probably don't want to submit that test because I won't be able to get that correct sample. So, also turnaround time, which is nice. So it'll let you know when you should get results. So there was a question yesterday about like employee prices, and you know, it kind of depends on what the test is. And anything that we have to send out, typically it's not going to be much of a discount. So kind of one thing to look at. Now I'm not going to say it's across the board, but kind of. If you see a test that takes like 7 days, that's most likely going to be a send out. So that kind of helps you a little bit.
When is it, Pumpkin?
Now, again, so there's going to be times where it's 2 o'clock in the morning. You can't reach out to Lincoln to find special pricing. So if you need like a guide, this right here is what we call list price. So this is like if you went to go buy a car and you didn't got like all that special off. Like they like bump it up and then take stuff off. So same kind of thing, that's what that is. So if you need to know what to charge your owner, this would be a good guide to kind of go off until you get the actual pricing. Because sometimes that could be a limiting factor. We have some tests that are like $400, so. Are you gonna point again?
She
was pointing yesterday.
She wants fried chicken. There's no doubt
Yeah,
about
she
it.
does.
Yep.
Mother. Oh, I feed you fried chicken.
Aw.
That's
So-
what
She's so
She
cute.
ate fried chicken.
She was pointing. I've never seen a cat point. I should take a picture. It was perfect. So this tells you what's going to be in the test. We have how it can be stored. So let's say you can't run it or you can't send it out. It tells you does it need to be frozen, does it need to be refrigerated, and any interferences that can happen. You can, as you have like tests that you use all the time, your most frequent ones will be on top, and then you can also save some as favorites.
She's after. Get ready to get in that plate.
Mhm.
She's like, I see that.
Clothes are in
Jump
there.
on it.
All right. So, any questions about looking at the test? So it's going to tell you approximate cost, what you need. Oh, there was a question yesterday. I don't know if y'all have ever put in codes. Have you seen how some of them, let's say, is like 102, and the other ones are 102 99999?
Yeah, what
Okay.
is that? I didn't get to hear the answer. to
Yes.
that.
So what that is, so let's say, for example, 102. That is going to be, it has to do with your CBCs. So 102 is going to be a comprehensive CBC. So they're going to run it through the analyzer and then they're going to do a smear. Okay? The ones with, and that's called the select. So see how it says CBC select. So those are the ones that always get a smear. The 999s is obviously going to always be cheaper because that's going to be the analyzer's going to run it, and if everything looks good, there's no strange asterisks or anything, they're done. But if they feel it needs to be, a slide needs to be done by a technician, it will happen at that point. So that's the difference, and that's also the price difference. So if you need that comprehensive, then use the ones without the 9. If it's just again, this is a very special situation because you don't see like routine stuff. So most of the ones you'll be sending out are the ones without the 9. But if you want that extra attention, then do it without the 9s. Does that kind of clear it up a little bit of why? Like, what are these extra 9s for? There must be something wrong with the code, right? That's what people are like. Is there something wrong with it? It's like, no, that's the difference. So, all right. So communications. So if you're on the results, you can select this little out right here. You can email directly from the site or from your phone. You can also collaborate. So you're like, what is collaboration, right? Has anybody heard of Facebook? I know it came out like last year. It's brand new, right? Y'all should get on it. It's a lot of fun. So if you think about what Facebook is, you know how you get a friend request and then you see that timeline. So with collaboration, you can actually share that patient with another hospital. So this would be good, like for, let's say, your chemo patients, if they're going back and forth, and you're going to see them, quite a bit. So what happens is you're going to select collaborate and put in the respective email of whoever that hospital is.
Oh, buddy.
They will get a request. They'll get an email saying that you would like to collaborate with this patient. So if they accept it, what happens at that point is, obviously you have EVET, they might have Cornerstone, they might have Adamark, their numbers are going to be different than yours. So what it does is it brings up like every fluffy. And then they have to pick which fluffy it is. And they're going to know because they've sent it over here. It's not like some surprise. So after they accept it, you will be able to see all of their historical data and they can see all of yours. So it will automatically go together so everything can be trended. And you can collaborate for the life of the patient, but you can also stop collaborating. And it's just easy, you just put stop collaborating. And if you do that, then it's just like you've been, well, actually it's better than being unfriended, but you can still see all your historical data from when y'all were buddies, but then going forward it does this. So you'll still see all of this and what you do, but you won't see what they do going forward. So just, it's an option. It's simple. You just literally hit collaborate, put the email in, and it's done. So instead of having like sending the x-rays or sending the blood work every time they go back and forth, as long as they have Idexx, you're good. So it's pretty cool. Who knew, right? Did I say it was free? Oh my gosh. Love it. Okay. So it will just send them this email, and you can add comments on the bottom if you want. Most people just send it for the email. Just send that just the generic, but you can put in whatever you want. Like if you're sending it to the owner, you can even put like come back in 4 days or something like that. This probably is not going to be for y'all so much because you don't do wellness blood work, but just so you know, I like to be complete. We have what's called client-friendly summaries. So what those are, they're over here. If you do a fecal DX, which is of course the send out, if you do a 4DX, if you do a CBC and a panel, we have these little sheets that you can give the owner. And what's super cool is it has a very generic message saying why are you testing, and you can even put on here when you want them to come back. So let's say if you need to come back like in 6 days or whatever, you could. But this is what they get. So this is the one for the parasites. So that's your fecal. But we know that it's zoonotic sometimes. People just forget about that. For Idexx, so same thing. It would have the state of Tennessee, and it's got the prevalence map. Because we know that if their pet is positive, ticks don't care whose hairy leg it is. So if your dog has Lyme's, there's a good chance that you have Lyme in your area. So you need to be really careful for yourself and your family to know that if you have a tick, take it off before something can happen. And then these are what we call the preventive ones, but these are more for like healthy patients. So that's when you do the CDC air panel. And again, I mean, it's something to think about. I mean, you could always change this messaging up here if you want. I mean, we always have used it for, let's say, just wellness exam, but I don't see why you couldn't use it for something else. And especially, let's say if it's a cancer patient, it's better, and they're like, this is exciting. Again, owners love these. And what's cool about this is it doesn't use big words, because sometimes when you use big words, where they go? Dr. Google, right? So they go to Dr. Google and they go into that rabbit hole, and at the end of the day, their female dog has prostate cancer. I mean, come on. So what's cool about these use simple terms. There is a website on the bottom. It's called, like this one's Dog and Ticks, and the other one's Pet Health Network. What's cool about that website is it's a good website. It's got some cartoon characters and stuff on it, but what it does is it refers them back to the veterinarian. It doesn't refer them to like these weird, like, put tar on it to make it better, like nothing like that. It always refers it back to the clinic. All right, so we've been looking at the desktop. This is the phone version. So you said you do have it on your phone.
Yeah.
Okay. So what you can do is you can see pretty much everything that you see. You'll get your results. You'll get the images. So you'll get your dot plots. You'll get your set of view images. You can trend on it by just clicking that analyte. And then you can also have that differential on your phone. I mean, this is great for y'all, but it's also good for the doctors, if it's something strange. Now, I know that y'all help different doctors different days. You can actually change it so you're only having the doctor you're working with results come across. All you do is hit personalization and select the doctors that you want to see. Now, I highly recommend that you turn off notifications because you are 24 hours. So let's say you're off and you're like, I don't want to say following, but you're looking at that doctor's results. Your phone will ping, and whenever those results come across, it actually comes across faster to VetConnect Plus than it does to print. I mean, it's that fast. So this is when let's say you did have the notifications turned on, it just tells you if you want to look at it or not. But it dings just like a text coming across. And don't forget the reference lab. They're finishing stuff 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, and as soon as those results are, they're in VetConnect Plus. So again, you can just view it at that point. And again, so you get all your set of view results, and then you also get the 3 images to go up that say set of view. You can also apply the labels, and then you can also magnify if you want to. You just would expand on it. This is the same thing as if you were doing the iPad, if you decide to show customers in the room. Also on your phone, you can see the ones that have, so see homework's been looked at, but the others have not. You can see that. You can also check in process. And what's nice, it'll tell you on your phone also if something's delayed and what the expected turnaround time is. Whenever your partials come up, same thing. All right, so we'll pull up yours real quick. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the directory of services. So I'm just typing in ACTH because I'm sure you have like books to tell you like the different stimulants you do that, right? So what this is super cool is you can actually go into this one. And there's a test protocol. So right there it's going to tell you what's recommended. You can print it out if you want, or you could just, read as needed. Okay? And again, nice thing, it's going to tell you how it can be stored, so if you're not going to send it out right then. Interpretations, of course, will be with the results, but also like your interferences, which is nice. So if like hemolysis is going to affect that test, or if it's icteric, it lets you kind of know that ahead of time. How cool is that? So these are the images that the pathologist actually looked at. So depending on how many slides there are, those will all be up there. Isn't that cool? I love it. And don't forget, I'm sure y'all know this, but I always like to bring this to your attention. What's cool, it's on your report too, but if you scroll like all the way down, you actually have, who was the pathologist? So let's say you were expecting it to be something else. This would be good to actually, instead of just calling support, call the pathologist and have that conversation. They have the slides, like they can pull them out and look at them. So that's super cool. And you know, what's important is the more information you give them, the better their report's gonna be, okay? Do you ever, or have you ever sent in cytology slides with a biopsy?
I don't think so.
No? Okay,
I mean, it's possible.
Okay.
Yeah, probably. Yes. Probably.
so yes?
Colon and Roman, yeah, probably both.
So extremely important, and you don't think about it, you know, but if that happens, if you're gonna send them in, totally fine. Put them in a different bag. So formalin actually will affect the slide, where it actually makes like a blue haze on it, and the pathologist can't read it. So that happens a lot more than you would think. So if for some reason they feel absolutely take 10 slides if you want, but put them in a different bag, just so that it doesn't kind of get that cross contamination. Any questions so far? No? Do y'all feel kind of comfortable using it? If you needed to look up tests. Now you still want to start an EVET, that way the results do go into EVET, but like adding a test, like, I mean, probably wouldn't on a biopsy, but I mean, right there you could just hit add test, okay? That way you don't have to call, do y'all have to call in a lot to like add to or anything? Okay. And it's nice at 2 o'clock in the morning, you just have to put add test and you're done. So, cool. And everybody's comfortable in EVET how to like do a request for in-house and also sending it out? Is everybody comfortable with that? Okay, just, most people know. Sweet, oh, where are you going? Hi.
Come here, girl.
Willa,
Oh, come here, big girl. Come here.
Come on, there you go.
Come on. Come
Um, A lot of people don't know this, but EVET,
That's for us.
so did it get forward, you move.
so
Come here, Betsy.
EVET only sends a request every 5 minutes. I don't know if y'all knew that. Like, that's nothing we can do to change that. We've asked. It's the only practice management software that does that. But yeah, so it only sends it over every 5 minutes. But y'all have gotten used to it, so it's probably normal for y'all. So it's funny when I come in, I'm like, what's wrong? What's wrong? I was like, oh wait, it's not 5 minutes yet. There it is. Cool. All right. So since we do have a little bit of time, and I was told yesterday that y'all are a little competitive and y'all love stickers, so here we go.
We're not competitive.
Aww.
Lisa.
All right, so what I thought would be good is like a refresher. I know that a lot of y'all weren't here whenever I actually installed the analyzer. So it's going to be questions on stuff you probably know, should know, or do know. Isn't that cute? I actually got that in Central Park.
Oh my Lord.
First time ever to New York.
Squirrel.
Okay, yeah, squirrel. That's me. Okay, for the first sticker. Y'all ready? And multiple people can answer. Okay, feel free to scream. It makes me happy. All right.
Tracy.
For the whole blood separator, which is a little disc with the green top, have y'all all used those?
Yes.
Okay. How much blood do you put in those whole blood separators?
0.7.
Okay, who all said 0.7? Woohoo! There we go. That's what I'm talking about. All right.
All right, Lisa.
Y'all are so like fancy. I was like talking to the line. That was my
Okay.
thought process.
All right. How long is that whole blood separator good for that you need to run it?
Like, so after you filled it?
After you fill it, before it needs to be spun down like in the analyzer. And this is actually for any testing, just so you, or any like green
Is it 2 hours?
No.
No, is it 15
20
to
minutes.
30 minutes?
30. 30.
30. Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
All right.
Way over.
So 30, and here's why. So I'm sure you've seen sometimes, like if you pull blood and you go back like 2 hours later, there's no glucose. Have y'all seen that? So what happens is after about 30 minutes, those red cells start to kind of leach that glucose. It actually affects some of the other ones too, but that's what everybody knows. So getting it done within that 30 minutes, you're good. Now let's say if you know you're not gonna be able to run it, you can still put it in a green top, spin it down, then just pour that off and put it into an untreated tube. So like a white top tube, or you can put it in a red top, but with nothing, no clot activator in it, because that could affect it too. All right, so y'all know 0.7 is what's recommended for a sticker. Is more blood in there good or bad?
Bad.
Who said bad?
All of us. We've all done it.
I've messed that up before.
Did you say bad?
No.
No.
I didn't say it, but I knew it.
Okay.
But
I'm okay with that.
Trial and error.
That's
you
right.
know.
Okay,
Trial and error.
so have y'all ever stayed in a hotel?
Yeah.
Okay. Have you ever been on a road trip and you're really tired and you're trying to find a hotel and you keep seeing no vacancy, right? So you end up having to sleep in your car. Done that before.
Yeah.
So think of those whole blood separators as like a hotel, okay? That gel on top is the rooms. So if you put too much blood in there, there's not enough room at the end. So what'll happen is I don't know if you were to look at a sample and you've got the plasma and it looks like just like frank blood in the bottom, I would not trust those results. So it's a misconception. I mean, yes, it does. You put whole blood in there, but it spins it down and it runs the plasma. So in that aspect, more is not better. I was that girl. I was like, oh, I got a bunch. Let me put all this in there. Okay. If you have a whole blood separator, okay, and you have a little bit of blood, let's say on the top or in that edge, what should you do?
Wipe it off.
Wipe it off, yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Do you want to play too?
Oh no, I'm just listening.
Here, you get a sticker for
Well,
participation. My heart's full now. Okay, so if you look at the analyzer, have you ever seen the blood flakes in the callus?
Yeah.
So what that's from is if there's any that gets on the top or in that ring, use a chem wipe to wipe it off. Because centrifugal force makes things go up and out, not down and in. So notice how that sits right in front of those tips.
Mm-hmm.
You can actually be running 2 samples at once. So that blood flake can get into that tip and that would affect your results. So yeah, just pass the word, be sure everybody just.
It's fine. It is all on the towel almost. It's fine.
Oh,
Almost.
Almost.
I'm still going.
Almost.
Good girl.
Everything's fine.
Oh,
All right,
pick
come
her
here.
up.
The world's on fire. Everything's fine.
Ooh, girl.
This is fine.
She's like, I'm done.
She's really interested in Chad. Alright, I think she's just interested in the door.
Continue, I'm sorry.
Okay. All right.
She's like, no, I pee over there.
I'm good.
I'm gonna get the mop after we're done.
She's like, what? All right. We'll wait for everybody to get back. Do y'all have any questions for me? Are y'all feeling pretty good? Okay. Just making you think a little bit like, oh, I gotta remember this stuff. But it's important to know. Especially when you get those results, you're like, I don't know about that.
Here you go, girl.
All right.
You can go ahead, it's fine.
Yeah, okay. Have y'all all run the SETB?
Yes.
Okay. What is the most important thing you do with your sample before you either use the pipetter or use a syringe? What's the most important thing you do?
Burn it.
All right.
You smart.
So,
I watched the videos online.
have y'all seen a snow globe before?
Apparently Dr. Groman has not.
So you know how when you do a snow globe, especially ones with real pretty white flakes, look how fast that settles.
Yeah.
See that? Imagine that as your struvite crystals. Now that's the best example, but other cells are heavy too. So if you don't mix it right before you get it, you're not going to get a good representation of your sample.
How many times should you invert it though?
10.
And just like
Yep.
blood?
Now don't get excited and go woohoo! No.
Shake the snow globe?
Just think of a lullaby. Oh, this is so much fun. So that would be good. Have any of you ever done a dilution on either the catalyst or the sedative?
Yes.
Okay. What solution do you use?
Whatever it tells you to, like.
Have you done it?
I usually say like 1 to 2 dilute.
But what liquid? I don't want to say because I'll say
Saline?
Yeah.
saline. Who else said saline? Did you say saline?
Yeah, I did. I was like,
Saline?
hesitantly, but yes.
Yeah, it sounds like a-
Saline?
I didn't think anything.
Ah, honesty. Okay. So saline is the most stable solution out there. It has a good pH. If you are going to do a dilution, you know how to add test, right? That's what you do is you hit add test. Okay. You could add 1,000 dilutions within 24 hours. So let's say if you wanted to do a dilution, or you wanted to do like a sample before you unblock the cat and then after, you can. You can do it as many times as you want, as long as it's within 24 hours and you hit add test. Because the reason why you have to use the add test function is because you know it's fluffy, but how's Idexx going to know it's the same fluffy? I mean, there's been, like, I've gone into, like, a clinic and they've had, like, 5 Rebeccas in the same day. I was like, number one, kudos for getting the correct Rebecca, but there's no way for us to know. So they follow that requisition number is what they do. All right, for a sticker, okay? You know how you say add test, you could pick the set of you, and then it asks you, like, if you want to append the results, merge and replace, add new, or escape or something like that. Y'all seen that, right?
Yeah.
Which one should you choose?
What?
So if you know how you've selected, and we can, if you need to, we can do it on there, but if you select add test, and you select the set of you, over here it's going to ask you, like, how do you want your results? Do you want them to append them? Do you want to merge and replace? Do you want new, or you have cancel?
Is it new? I usually push a pen.
Yes.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. Yes. You always want to append. Okay? The reason why you want to append is if you hit merge and replace, all of those previous images, they're out the door. So even though you didn't get a numerical result, you have those pictures. Okay? So append on anything. Append is your best friend. I actually went into a clinic and they were not happy with the set of you, and I was like, well, tell me more. It's my favorite thing to say. Tell me more. And the results that the doctor got, he just looked at the images and there was just a few crystals. Just a few. But the original was wall-to-wall crystals. So if they had saved those images, he would have seen like the before and then the individual, like we could see the outline of them. So always append. Okay? So everybody's comfortable doing dilutions then. Okay. Some people do like 0.2 of urine. I just use the pipetter. I do 1 pipette of urine and then 3 of saline or 4 of saline, just to make it easier. And that's what I like about it. It tells you like how much sample and then you put how many dilutants in it, so you don't have to even think about it. Cool. Okay. I got this wrong. We're just going to put that out in the stratosphere. Okay. If you have a test that is serum only, so regardless if it goes to the reference lab, but I know that you have CPLs now which are serum only, okay? How long are you supposed to let your sample sit before you spin it down?
20 minutes. Yeah.
Oh my God! Here you go. There's your
Tracy,
sticker.
you get that.
The only one I participated in.
Good job, Tracy.
And then you said 20 minutes.
Yeah, I did, but I was late.
So it's okay. So I was a 5-minute girl. I had a cat. We're good. We're just gonna go ahead and run that bad boy, right?
Why is that though? I mean,
So that's a good question because I'm going to tell you. There has been lots and lots of research. So even though we see that clot forming, what we don't see is the only difference between serum and plasma is the clotting factors. That is it. Okay? So even though we see that clot forming, and it's a good looking clot, what we don't see is there's still clotting factors that are floating around in that solution that have not incorporated into that clot. So if you spin it down in something you're running in-house, if you spin it down before 20 minutes, you're actually running plasma. And like certain tests, like the CPL, are extremely sensitive to interfering substances, and that one, that is actually plasma, those clotting factors is the interfering thing. Yeah. So, 20 minutes. I'm not gonna lie, I was a 5-minute girl, but I've seen the research and now I believe it. And that's the way my mind works, is like, you can tell me that's fine, but tell me why. It's gonna stick with me more than just saying, Jen said 20 minutes, but she doesn't know what she's talking about. So, I mean, stuff like that, that's what's important. All right. Is whole blood the only thing you can run on the pro side? Yes or no?
No. But can't you run plasma or
Oh
serum?
wait. No.
No.
Can you run different solutions from the body through the pro side besides blood?
I would say yeah, because you can.
Yes. So you can do abdominal, thoracic, and synovial fluid. OMG, drop the mic. Yes.
I mean, not that we're gonna do it.
Yes, you
often.
can.
Not that we're gonna do it often, but that would be really cool to be able to
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. So that being said, it's important that you look at your solution. Now, if you put it in the tube and you mix it and it's just like, all together, and it doesn't look like blood, you know it's purulent. I don't say the other word, just saying.
Right.
You know it's purulent. It doesn't need to be run through the analyzer. I mean, it could clog it. But if it has the viscosity of blood, absolutely. So the thoracic, abdominal, would you mind, could you just wake up the vet lab station? Remember? All right, and just hit add test. If you select the pro site, see where there's a drop down. So where it says whole blood, people forget that it's there. The drop down, you can actually use the different types of products. Now, you can either, I recommend, if you have never done it before, do both ways for the doctor and see which one they like better. Some people, like if you do it where you pick the other solution, it's gonna give like granulocytes and agranulocytes, and gives those numbers. If you run it like a whole blood, it gives them like the speed bar that people like to see.
Right.
So both are fine. I mean, you have to kind of think about the granulocytes and agranulocytes, so I would just let the doctor decide which one, run them both, and then say, here, which way do you like better? So yeah. Yep. See, I could be done now. I've taught you something, so done. All right. Any questions? How y'all feeling? Okay, we're in the home stretch. This is what everybody should know. All right. Once you open the light forward clip, so you got it out of the fridge and you open it up and you have it in warm little hands, how long are they good for?
Not very long.
True. Somebody throw some numbers
like
out.
2 minutes?
Yep.
Okay.
So once you open your lights, they're good for 2 minutes.
I didn't know that.
Oh wait, so if you open your panel, how long are they good for?
Is that 5 minutes?
Yes. So that's why you always load your lights first. So the way I remember is the lights go in first. I look at the light, they were like to the light fastest, so you want to get them in, get them covered up. When you put them in, they go in first, they get the sample first. So a lot happens with them being on the bottom. All right, this is not a trick question, just think about it. I don't know if you've ever had to, but let's say if you've ever had to steal a slide out of a clip. I don't know if you've ever had to do that. So what I mean is, let's say they want to run just a BUN, and if you didn't have even individuals, for example, they want to run just a BUN, and that's it. If you open that clip up, use that slide, can you put those clips back in like a little baggie, you put it in the freezer?
No.
Thank you. There are so many times I have gone into a clinic. Anybody else know? There's been so many times I've gone into a clinic and I like open their freezer and I'm like, I have to close it back and I'm like, because I have to tell them that those slides are no good. Okay. But let's say if that has to happen, what you need to do is write down the patient and like the clip that you used and why. Okay? If you get an error, let's say it's, you know, if it was an aspiration error or something, and you need to do that to run that specific slide, write down the patient, the error, because we need to follow those errors. Idexx needs to know that to make sure it's not something wrong with the analyzer, and then what you use, so like a Chem 17 or whatever you happen to use. Okay? It needs to be called in within about 2 weeks to get that credit. Okay, so it's okay, but yeah, they're no good. All right. How y'all feeling? Y'all feel more energized? Look at what all your flair. Here.
Thanks.
All right. Well, that's all I got, unless y'all have any questions. Hopefully it was helpful.